Alright, we're on.
Peace, y'all. You've caught us in the middle of a Tinder debate. And we're not even a debate, but we're discussing Tinder. We're tenderizing Tinder. Pause on that. Whoa. Tenderizing Tinder. Whoa. Pause. Stop it. But anyway, peace, y'all. What's up? You know what it is. It's your boy, the Anarkist
and Invisiblekatana.
We back here on A Few Nobodies podcast. I feel like I haven't said that in a while. Like, they don't even know what the fuck podcast is. They're like, I ain't even said A Few Nobodies. I ain't even said my whole little spiel. We're the only guys in this room talk about shit that we don't care about. All right, man, fuck all that. This is what we care about.
We only like halfway use their full name. It's like A Few Nobodies podcast talking about nothing. Technically is our full title, but I mean, YouTube ain't gonna let us put that title. Exactly. That's way too long. It's just A Few Nobodies podcast. There you go. They gotta cut there. It's too long of a title. It's too much. YouTube won't allow that.
We getting into the juicy shit. If y'all was tuned in to the last podcast, trust me, we gonna get into it. We ain't gonna leave y'all hanging. My boy before we started this podcast, my boy just showed me the thought section of his phone, basically where he got all the apps for hunting thoughts. He's a certified thought hunter right now.
Thought hunter.
Like ghost hunters, he a thought hunter right now. He got all his thought hunting technology. You got I see you got the camera over there. I ain't gonna ask what you be doing with the camera, but see you got your phone, got your apps, you see? You know what I'm saying? You got something in that bag, but I ain't gonna open it or ask what it is, what's in there. You see what I'm saying? That's your business.
Stuff start vibrating, just let it go.
Alright, if stuff start vibrating, I'm gonna back up from this chair, you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna do what I gotta do. You feel me?
Yeah.
So, but like in the last podcast, we were talking about you and your relationships, and it was so good. I love talking about this.
Yeah, I know you do. Some weird joy out of these stories of mine.
It's gratification.
Weird stories.
I don't know why.
I like to live vicariously through my triumphs and failures.
I just love it though.
I know.
I love it when we win, but I hate it when we lose.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, man, we almost had it.
Right.
Sorry for you.
When you strike out with girls, it's like, damn, man.
Yeah.
I know we was looking for love, but she wasn't the one. We'll get him next time, champ. But anyway, so we're talking about your ex-girlfriend because right now you're by yourself. You're lonely. You're alone. You're single.
Alone in the world. One is the loneliest number, as they say.
So you've been getting to know yourself, literally, physically, and spiritually. You've been getting to know yourself, but
work,
all right, you left off. Yeah, work that too. But you know. You left off letting me know that I was unaware of some things about you guys' relationship, and that just
it entices me.
It just tickled my heart chakra.
And for people who might be newer listeners, we did do like a mini trilogy, I guess, about this already, so you guys can listen back to that. Because I won't go over, obviously the same stuff, because we did spend like 3 episodes. It wasn't like full episodes; it would just be segments within the episodes.
We talked about it.
We did talk about it for quite a bit. So
summing it up, he was in a 5, 6, 10-year relationship.
Almost, it would have been 5 years on Valentine's Day. So coming up it's 14.
Yeah, it's the 14. It's the 14. Damn, see? No wonder your ass broke it up. You was a terrible boyfriend, bro. You can't remember your anniversary when it's on fucking Valentine's Day.
I just forgot the date. That's because I'm going to see Black Panther on the 15th. That's all that matters this week.
Yeah. Come out the 12th,
though, right? I'm alone.
Come out the 12th, though, right?
No, it comes out. No, the 12th is in 2 days. It comes out on the 15th.
Came out the 12th, though. I already thought it was the 12th. It was the 15th.
Yeah, the 12th would come out on Monday.
All right. Come out on Monday. Ain't the shit already sold out? Come out any day.
It could. I mean, it's Black Panther. It could.
Yeah. I'm trying to shoot down my points. Can come out any fucking time. The shit been sold out for months. But anyway, back on you. Don't try to change the fucking subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because you forgetting fucking anniversaries from your ex-girlfriend.
I just forgot the date. That was all.
But anyway.
I remember her birthday. Yeah, that's how long it took her to remember mine. Many times I had to ask her, what is her birthday?
Hold on, she forgot your birthday, bro?
Not on the day, no. It was just like
before it came up.
Yeah, it would be like the first, like it would be like the first 3 months. I would be asking, like I would ask her just at random, like, do you remember my birthday? Like it was a couple of months before she got that job.
That's not fair. Ain't nobody gonna know what's your birthday till a few weeks till Facebook fucking tells you. So get the fuck out of here. Ain't nobody just about to just be thinking about your birthday months before the shit come. Come on,
you gotta know some stuff.
Selfish motherfucker. But anyway. So go ahead, tell us about the tirade. Clearly, we didn't get the whole story, so we need it now. But to sum it up, he met this girl at Hollister.
Yeah, Hollister and
asked her out. They went out, started dating, kicked it off. You feel me? It was all just beautiful. Got together. She said, it was beautiful. Got together. Was there for 5 years now. We gonna
almost 5. Yeah.
We gonna explain that one, but all right, you guys, 5 years didn't really make it. We got that other stuff. Go back to the episode. I'm just kind of updating you guys. But go ahead. I'm ready.
All right. So
hold on. I got my popcorn. I'm ready.
So
wait a minute. I got a drink.
Get everything.
Do I got my Snickers bar?
Recline.
Hold on.
Get the vibrating seats if you got it.
All right, go.
So it's been it was in November. It was like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. We broke up officially. Went through, mentioned, we went on the trip, all that crap. It's just stuff that I've been thinking about recently, where you always look back on stuff where it's like what you did, what you didn't do, and stuff like that. And I already went through that whole process too, but it was like, as we talked, you mentioned before, where I was like, you said you would have been like, man, not fair and all this, and I was, calm. I was fair about it, like, stuff I did. There's stuff I didn't do, stuff that I felt she didn't do, and she was like, I was the reason for every problem, as she put it. The main thing.
She said you was the reason. No, you just called me. I'm going with that. Don't go ahead. I'm sorry.
Which part?
So she said I was the reason for every problem. That's hilarious. I don't know why that's so fucking funny to me.
Kind of how she made it. Yeah.
Oh God, I just wish I could talk to her, bro. Because like,
aren't y'all still friends on Facebook?
I mean, yeah, actually we are.
Yeah. So I don't think she'll answer the questions. I mean, you can ask her.
Thanks.
I guess I'm just saying. I mean, you can ask.
It'll be interesting, but probably not. I ain't gonna poke her. I'll just make fun of you because it's fun with you because you can be. See, that's what I like about you, man.
You probably saw the post after. I'm sure she made some posts. Anything you could probably think of.
Man.
I mean, it'll probably be like super vague stuff.
Yeah,
but,
no. Actually, I don't remember any posts that she made that seemed like it was about a relationship. It's just political posts. I'm about to fucking unfollow her ass real shit because I'm just like, I want to go Black Power, sister. I'm liking it for you, but it's just like, I don't know if I want to see this on my timeline. But go ahead.
Very black Twitter with her. But yeah, so
stay woke.
Almost 5 years, and like I said, after a while you go through.
What's it like being in a relationship for 5 years? Before we get into that, don't forget where you at. But I'm gonna poke and ask you little questions throughout the interview.
For me, it's fine. For me, it's fine. Like, I'm the type of dude where it's like, I'm cool with something permanent. Like, we were talking about that before with the last person I was talking to, and she didn't want to talk because she thought it was like, that's strictly what I was looking for, and it wasn't. But it's like, I'm not concerned about it being permanent. Like, some people would probably freak out, like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I'm not that person, because I'm the type of dude who's like, I've always been the weird person where it's like, I always knew exactly what I wanted. So it's never been like a question in my head, like, what type of person do I want to be? It's like, I don't want to be with somebody that bugs me. That's like I know what type of person that I want to be with.
Oh, go ahead.
What were you gonna ask?
I was gonna ask. Okay, so because this is why this is interesting to me. Shayna's very pretty. I'll give her that. So of course, obviously, just it's her beauty that attracted her to you, right? And it had to be some parts of her personality because y'all worked together, right? So it wasn't just she's pretty. Let me ask her out. It was like y'all kind of knew each other a little bit, you know. So
because she was there for a while before I even remotely paid any attention. Like I just didn't even.
You just started looking at her one day, like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it was just random, and it was most likely it was something nerdy that happened while we were talking. Most likely it had to be something nerdy because I always would talk to the people that were back there because I always worked. I was stocked at Hollister, so I always worked in the back. So it was like, if anyone talks to me, it's always the same thing. I don't really say much to people, but if people talk to me, then I'll talk to them. That's just how I've always been.
Right.
And typically I have a lot more to say if it's nerd based because I'm not really into a lot of the stuff that most people are really into.
No,
like I'm not
right.
Exactly. Like that is the truth. It's like most normal stuff. Right. I'm really just not
sports,
into. Like not big on sports. Yeah. Not big on
TV, like ratchet TV shows, like the ones everybody watch, Love and Hip Hop and all that bullshit.
Yeah, like I'm in like comic books, nerdy stuff. Like I don't really do like the whole hanging out thing.
All right, back to the point. So my question was this. So I've seen that. Or I know, all right, clearly you liked her look. Clearly it was something about her, that interests you. When you get into a 5-year relationship, what happens to that? It's like, okay, because I know at first when you dating, you're like, dang, this person's so fine. I want to hit so bad. They look so good.
That normal trail.
I don't really know them. I don't want to act, I want to be cool in front of them.
Yeah, the brand new
At what point in a relationship does that just go away? And like, you just in a relationship now. Like, what's that like?
I think that it depends on the person. Because for me, it never, like for me, I was always the type of dude where it's like, if I love you, my love is fairly absolute. Like you ain't got to worry about me obviously cheating on you or any crap like that. And it's like, I'll put up with a bunch of, I'm kind of the dude where it's like, I'll put up blinders if I love you. Because it'll just be like, I'll kind of go through all the crap and stuff. Like, give
me an example of that. What do you mean?
A great example.
What do you mean?
Let's see, a good example. Okay, so here's something that I would say is a good, for anyone who might be listening, going through some random issues or whatever.
You're in a relationship. This is lit for you, bruh.
I would say a good rule of thumb, something that she would often say to me is that if I didn't do something, her response was always that I didn't love her enough. And I don't think that that kind of says, it's one of those things.
Would it be like something small, like, you didn't put gas in the car, you don't fucking love me?
No, it wouldn't be like that. So our really big thing was me getting to know her family, and that was something that kind of never really worked out super well in our relationship. And a big part of that was for her dad's side of the family, I should say. So a big part of that was she wanted me to go to church. So I went a few times, but my big thing is I'm not religious, and that was a big thing. I'm not religious, I'm not really spiritual either. And instead of it being a way around it where it's we find another way for me to know her family, that was it. And it was, me not wanting to go to church was because I didn't love her enough. And if I look back at that whole relationship, I barely got to know that entire half of her family because that was the only option she gave me. And she didn't really like that side of her family that much anyway. But when it came down to the end, it was how she spent so much time with my family and how I didn't spend time with hers. And in my mind, I'm like, well, yeah, because she would always kind of look at it as she was doing all this work to be with my family. And I'm like, no, I was making sure you were a part of my family. That's how I saw it, because that's what I was actually doing.
Right.
Every holiday is my dad's doing this or my mom's doing that, because they were always doing something.
Right. And
I knew she always, parties and stuff like that. So it was always making sure she knew, this is what's happening. That's what I was always doing. And even with her mom's side of the family, as far as our whole relationship, events with her whole family, there's probably 3 in total out of nearly 5 years. Yeah. So, and that would be the type of stuff that I would look at where she would kind of use her being with my family as a point for her. And I'm like, well, you being there is because I made sure you were there.
And me not being with your family is kind of on you too. So.
Yeah, and it was half and half. And I did look at it I didn't want to go to church, but that's a big part.
We can go to Red Lobster.
Yeah, that was a big part of it where, it wasn't, that was a big thing. I would say that was the biggest thing I think I ignored.
But you see, that's why I like you, man, because you a heathen. You know what I'm saying? You secular like me. You don't give a fuck about God, the Lord. You don't care about none of that. It's fuck church. I feel you. That's what I like about you. I ain't gonna lie. She would have came at me with that shit. I'm fuck out of here.
Did you think I'm going to church? Either. She was spiritual, but she wasn't super religious either. And
what's up with you having to go to church? You couldn't just come up with something else well, fuck it, let's go to Applebee's.
Like I said, I think part of that was because she didn't that half of her family as much. And they did go out to eat. And like I said, that's why I look at, I always try to stay fair, even when I'm pissed off about it. I do stay fair. There's stuff that I just didn't do because there was things where it was we never really.
But basically, that was your blinders. You because that's what we was talking about. You was basically saying that. I
would get past her saying stuff like that, or being mean to me in different little ways. Being mean to you weren't really around, but she'd be mean to people.
Like how?
Pretty much anytime she drank, she was a bit of a bitch to people.
Oh, she was drinking, huh? Mm-hmm. Dang.
So that would come up, and it would be, and that's the thing. It was it's funny, microaggressions, as people like to say.
Yeah.
It would be stuff like that. It was always, if I look at something.
Did you have a problem? I'm just kidding. I think she's probably too young to have a problem. We'll see what happens when she get older.
You can never be too young to have a drinking problem if you drink. If you drink too much, at least. But that was her thing. She liked to be drunk. She liked to drink. And whenever that would happen, it would be some minor thing, but it was always something.
Did she hit you?
No. No. There was no physical violence, no.
Come out now. Come on, be brave.
No.
Me too, Terrence.
No.
Time's up, Shayna.
I was not hit. No. I was not hit.
You can tell, look, we can turn the mics off. You can just tell me right now, okay? I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
No. I'm fine.
But go ahead, I'm sorry.
But it would be little stuff. Well, like I said, I mean, I feel like that is the main thing that I always notice when I look back at it all now that I kind of ignored, where it was always I didn't care enough about her when I didn't do something, but if she didn't do something, it didn't seem to make much of a difference.
Yeah, I feel like that's a woman thing right there.
Well, she took it to the extreme, I can guarantee you that. But it would be stuff like, you know, obviously me being like the antisocial one, I don't really talk much. So when we'd have our big parties, typically I'm playing the game pretty much the whole time. Like, you know, we'll be playing Smash Brothers for a minute and stuff, and then everyone, you know, most people probably go to the table, start drinking and talking and stuff. And typically it was admittedly stuff that I wasn't really that interested in. I don't really drink that much or very often. It was super rare that I would. It was typically I would only drink when we had like super big parties. And normally if we did, I'd probably be running around the house trying to, you know, make sure everything was good and stuff like that. I'm always like, you know, if she was doing her thing, we're like the party planner, so if she was doing her thing, then I'm like, make sure everything's good on the outside. So I, you know, probably wasn't drinking. But it would always be like, you know, why wasn't I talking to her while, you know, everybody's over there talking? It's like, oh, you weren't talking to me. And I'm like, well, technically you weren't talking to me either. Like, it was always, we both did it, but it was my fault. It was always, like I mentioned this stuff with the dates where it was like, you know, we don't go on dates. And you know, you were playing devil's advocate and stuff, but it was like, you know, we don't go on dates.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and it was like, she would say, we don't do this and we don't do that. And then when I would turn it around and say, yeah, we don't. It's like, why don't you take me? There was always an excuse. And like I said, at the end, she legitimately told me, like, after an almost 5-year relationship, I don't like anything. Like, that's why she never took me on a date.
Oh, you don't like anything?
Yeah.
Right.
And
which is kind of cruel, because it's like, you can't not like anything. You know, you like
something.
I mean,
everybody, I'm the easiest person. Everyone knows all I like is video games. Like, arcades are the easiest thing. It's like...
Well, okay, but I could... Well... Let me play devil's advocate again.
By all means, I probably have thought, you know, the past couple of weeks I've been just thinking about all of it.
Right.
Like,
you've been thinking about all this from your perspective. Like, you know what? I've been
thinking about all of it from both sides. I mean, like I said.
Shut up. You can't be objective. Shut up.
Yes,
anyway.
You know me.
I feel like she might be, okay, because your whole thing is, well, I do have variety. I like Naruto. I like Pokemon. I like...
No. I like different. There's at least 5 anime that I like. No.
I think what she means is like, you never, you know, but besides nerd, like throw nerd shit over here. And let's just say that we're gonna chop that from everything you can do, and this is nerd shit. This is everything else. So that will make that true. You don't like just about everything else. Yeah, did you ever come to her like, hey, let's bowl tonight? Let's
I've referenced bowling. Like, I mean, and that was something that we both did. That I feel was like the biggest thing where I would say, as far as us not going on dates, there was always stuff where we randomly mention it and we just never ended up doing it. Like, we'd mention it all the time, like random stuff. Like when she moved to her house, she was near like a putt-putt place, and we just never ended up going to it. And there's a bowling alley that was down the road. We would always randomly say stuff, and then we would never really end up doing it. It was always like, it was, like I said, from both of us, really. And I think the main thing for me, like when she would say like, oh, you don't like anything, is like the stuff that we did in our relationship. Whenever I would think of like, you know, when it would be like her birthday or anniversary, she didn't like horseback riding because she'd never been, but I took her because it's like, that seems like something that would be cool. And I think in her mind, she kind of basically just took it down to, I don't like anything because all I like is like games and anime and stuff.
Yeah, that's the
and
point
it's
I was
like,
making.
yeah, and I know, but it's like when you're with someone for that long, it's one thing to say they don't like it, and it's another thing to actually try and see what they like, and then not do it. Because no joke, after like the first year and a half or something, she was not responsible for any of our dates, like whatsoever.
Like you were playing all the dates for a whole year?
Yeah, it would be little stuff, but that's the thing. It would be, I don't think it was stuff that she really cared that much about, so it never really like registered as
hey,
far
let's go
as,
to the...
I mean, because most of what we did, because it was always, if we weren't just like sitting watching TV and stuff like that, most of what we did was like go to the movies. That was like our main thing. We pretty much went to the movies, and that would be it. And if we ever like did go out somewhere, it was always because our friends mentioned it. And I think I mentioned this before, they always like going to the club, and that's why I would rarely go out. But it seemed like that was impossible for her to pick up on. Like, you guys always go to the clubs, how hard is it to figure out I don't like going to the clubs? Like, that's, and like you said, like take all the nerd stuff out, I don't like anything else, that's all they would do. So it's like, how can you say I don't like anything, and that's all you're doing is going to the club? And I go, you know, every once in a while, because it's like, I don't really drink. I'm probably gonna, especially if I'm going, I'll be the designated driver for sure, because I don't really drink that much anyway, so I don't really care. But I don't really like to dance.
Instead of just letting somebody drive drunk like normal people, we'll go ahead.
But it would be that sort of situation. Like when our friends would go out, because they've mentioned it before, like I forgot what it was for, but we did laser tag, and I was like, yeah, because I like laser tag. One time we were, it was like her cousin was celebrating his other cousin's birthday. They went bowling, so it was like, of course, I'll definitely go bowling because I like to bowl. So when it was stuff that I liked, it was like, yeah, I'll definitely do that. But, you know, like, yeah, I don't really like going to clubs and stuff. And then if it's not our friends, then it's me. And it was like never, ever like a part of it where she was realized that she didn't like plan any dates. Like the one, like I said, I always look at like the little stuff. That's what it like peeks out. We would always go, I mentioned, it wasn't in the podcast, but for anyone listening, Benihana has this thing where if you sign up for your birthday, you get like a $30 gift certificate every year. So we always did that.
Okay.
And even on my birthday, I was the one calling for the reservation. And it was just little stuff like that I would think about where I'm like, I'm calling for my own birthday reservation. And like I said, like that's so small.
Yeah,
but that's
now
what I
you
look
go back
at.
and think about it, like that was a red flag. But let me ask you this. Do you think, because I was going to ask you like what were some of the highlights of the relationship, but actually I want to ask you this. How it seems like, and maybe this is, I'm glad we get into this because this could be like a lesson for people. I know it's a lot of people, we out here, we young, and sometimes you get into a relationship with somebody and people don't give us the rule book, you know what I'm saying? But because you've been through this, and that's basically, that was my whole point. That was my whole point last episode. At what point should a person, because you was in a 5-year relationship, so if you look back on it now,
about 5,
when y'all got together, at what point, if you just really look back and you know what you know now?
Man. If I really looked at it, it was less than a year.
Less than a year, you probably would have just been like, you know
Our
what?
Our first big argument, I could remember verbatim because it bugged me. Like, it was that big of a red flag, and I just let it go. But it was,
do you want to mention that?
Sure. But it was something, it's the main thing that I would say was kind of what caused the issues, the main issues in our relationship as a whole, is that she always had this thing where she had to be right. Like, it was like not a joke. She either had to be right or she was the victim and needed the apology. And then when it was flipped, none of the quotes where it's like you apologize for how you made the person feel, not what you did, none of that ever seemed to apply to me. Like, she apologized one time ever that I can recall. And would you like to know that one? Because that's the thing. So here's another.
That'd have been big for her.
This is the ultimate red flag. I'll tell you, everybody. My. Young college Terrence, what would he
spit it out?
Just don't waste your time if you are ever once compared to anybody else. It is just not worth it. And especially for the pathetic reason that I was compared to somebody else, which was they made some people laugh at a party because they were like the center of attention. And that's what she cared about more than anything else. Wow. It was, if I was the center of attention, if I was more outgoing, basically she would get more attention by being, because we were like a unit.
Right.
That was pretty much the main focus that I kind of realized,
not really
looking back on the whole thing.
Right, okay.
Like, that's what that was kind of like the main focus. It was always more about the number of friends she had. Because I can tell you, like, it was a million freaking times, I need more friends or I need better friends. All the time.
Damn.
Because she would talk about going out and stuff, but
didn't
it never, like if they weren't going out or people were busy or whatever, but going out always consisted of other people doing it. Like I said, like it was always, we don't go out and this and that, and it was like you always, like, it comes up as like the huge arguments, like it's so important, but she's never done it for me. Like the biggest thing she ever did for me was throw me a surprise party. And she did that twice.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she did that twice, like 2 different birthdays, she threw a surprise party.
Okay.
And so it was like, it was fun. It was a surprise party. And it was just like, I mean, to me, it was like, you know, the first time you do it, it was my first birthday that she celebrated with me. It was a surprise party. So it was like, okay, well, that's a big deal, that happened. My second birthday was when I was working at conventions, so she didn't know I was going to be in town. So we just did the dinner thing, like we went to Red Lobster with our friends. And then the year after that was another surprise party.
Right.
And so it was kind of like the same thing where I would look at it, and at the time it was just like no big deal, but it's one of those things that I look back on, especially after her saying the reason she never took me anywhere is because I don't like anything. It's like, even for my birthday or something like that, it never came up to just be like, well, what if we just had a surprise party at an arcade, or just took them
that
to
she
an
know
arcade.
That you like, because clearly you have likes, you have passion. It's not like, hey, you got to pry to see what you like.
Yeah. So I feel like that was kind of the big part of it.
Damn, bro, I ain't gonna lie, you should have broke this down before, because I was still on your head like, that probably was a little bit of him.
Well, it still was. I mean, there's still definitely parts. I mean, I would never say that was like I would never say that was the perfect partner. But yeah, that's the type
you lay
of
some
stuff.
heavy shit on me. It's hard for me to be on the person's side because I ain't gonna lie, the number one thing that killed a relationship that clearly killed y'all's was selfishness. You cannot be selfish in a relationship, and if you're not even willing enough to apologize, what is she? That's what she apologized for?
The comparing me to somebody else. Yeah.
So that's the only thing she ever apologized to you for.
Yeah, I would say that was the only time. She called it truth one other time, and that was for something, much lesser than that. But that, I would say, was the only real apology I ever actually got.
Dang, out of 5 fucking years, that's crazy.
And we never had that many arguments, but yeah, whenever we would have arguments, that was another big thing is that, and this comes up because of the thing where it's like she always had this need to be right. We wouldn't argue. Like, I would kind of just not do it. It wasn't like, it's not that I wasn't big on confrontation. I'm not. But it wasn't like, oh, I can't handle having an argument with her. It was like, if I have an argument with her, and I guess I should have done it because it probably would help me realize it. But it was always like, it'll just make me go insane because I know she will argue literally beyond logic that I'm wrong. Because that's stuff that's happened.
Like, you don't understand.
Or you one of the biggest things I always notice is that whenever I would finally, like, I've listened to her and be like, okay, I'm telling you this is exactly how I feel, this is what I think. 9 times out of 10, it would always come down to she didn't understand, and somehow that was my fault. Like, it was either I didn't talk about it because I knew it would be an issue, and it would just go nowhere, or when I did, it went nowhere because it would always end up being, I needed to come up with some perfect magical explanation for her to get it, and it's like, I don't know what you expect. It's like, agree to disagree. Like, that was a huge thing. I just wished that was all I wanted.
So touch on this a little bit, because I remember you saying that one of the things that she was really upset with was, I guess, not giving her time and attention or something like that?
Yeah, passion, yeah.
Right, so.
That I would, because that was something I was thinking about. Before I get to that, I do want to mention the first argument because I do remember it.
Okay.
So this is like a super stupid thing. It was 2 different times this same sort of argument happened, and it was one of those red flags where I noticed it was just like, it just doesn't matter what happened or what I even say happened. So we're watching Netflix. We were watching it was like the last X-Men cartoon that was made. It was called Wolverine and the X-Men. So some characters were talking on the screen. So do you know who Scarlet Witch is? Like from the movies? Basically, she's Quicksilver's sister, Magneto's daughter, one of his daughters. So basically, she's, Scarlet Witch, she's dressed in red and stuff like that. And then there's this character, this Domino. So Domino is either drawn as either like pale white, or sometimes she's drawn as like blue, because that's her mutation, her mutant mutation. And in this show, she basically looked blue. So we're watching this show, and the characters are talking and stuff, and she asked me if the character Domino was Scarlet Witch. So I didn't say anything, because personally speaking, I was like, I feel like that's a really stupid question, because this character is blue, and the other character is literally red. So I said nothing. Like, I legitimately thought, that's such a dumb question to me. I'm not even gonna, I literally was like, that's so stupid, it won't warrant a response.
Damn.
Probably kind of mean.
That is a little
mean. But I didn't say anything.
You don't know whether that's Scarlet Witch or the
we were watching the actual show. Like, we were it wasn't the first episode. We were episodes in. It's like, it's a red character.
But she probably could have just been lost. Like, let me just take this one time to get unlost.
And that's true. But I didn't answer it, right? So that, like, that was my little mean thought where I was like, I think that's kind of dumb. It was like, it's the blue and the red character. So yeah, that was mean. But I didn't answer it, and the character Scarlet Witch did come into the scene. Like, her and Quicksilver actually came in talking. She was like, oh, so that's Scarlet Witch. And she just realized, like, oh, the woman in red. Right. And so I was just like, yeah, and that was it. So, like, 10 minutes later in the episode, some random scene comes up, and Domino's doing something, and they say her name is Domino. And she was like, you said that was Scarlet Witch. And I was like, no, I didn't. And that was the argument. It went back and forth from that. And I literally...
Because when the red character came onto the scene, and then you was just like, yeah, that's Scarlet Witch. She probably was made it still right
over. That's exactly what she did. Okay. Which didn't make any sense, because she said what made me say yeah. It wasn't like I was just like, yeah, out of nowhere. She was the one who said, oh, that's Scarlet Witch. Right. And then I said, yeah.
Right.
And she skipped over her actually, like, realizing it on her own. Right. Somehow. She skipped over that within like a 10-minute gap. And then I'm like, I didn't say that was Scarlet Witch. And I told her exactly. I was like, you asked me what happened, or you asked me if that was Domino, and I was like, I didn't say anything. And then when Scarlet Witch came on, you were like, oh, that's Domino, and I was like, yeah. And the argument went back and forth until I did the generic thing. And this does happen with, you see it in TV all the time, where the guy is always apologizing even though it's not his fault.
Right.
And I apologized. And what she said, it was the argument, but what she also said is what really made me mad, because it doesn't even make sense. She was like, it's okay. We both could have been wrong. Exactly. And that did not make any sense whatsoever.
I'm trying to figure it out now.
Because you can't have an argument and say, it's not like, and this was another part of it, where it's like, you asked me what happened because you didn't know about the characters, right. And then you want to argue that I said it wrong. Like, that's where it comes from. It's like, nope, I was wrong, and I totally gave you the wrong information. Even though I said it verbatim, like, this is exactly what happened when you asked, I didn't respond. Then you figured it out, and I said, yeah, and we have this whole back and forth, and like I can recite it verbatim because it stood out, like I said, because it was like the red character and the blue character. It stood out so much that's why I remembered it perfectly.
It's just like a relationship for y'all to get to this huge fight over a fucking cartoon or just something insignificant like that, you know, or just a show. Like you be watching the show, and next thing you know, like you said, just miscommunication can lead to anger and a fight and an argument and blah blah blah.
And like I said, it's not even just the argument, it's what she said at the end, where it's like, it's okay, we both could have been wrong, which makes literally no sense whatsoever. And it's like, you can't argue with me that you were right this whole time, and then when I apologize, you say it's okay, we both could have been wrong. It's like, no, that logically in general that doesn't make sense.
But I can see how that piss you off though.
And
it's like you gotta live in a crazy house. It's like you gotta turn crazy a little bit. It's like you're a normal person, and then by night you gotta go back to the insane asylum, like, and then just start acting crazy and just walk in that bitch.
But yeah, it was stuff like that. Because that happened twice. But it would be stuff like that. I was always wrong. It was.
What was the redeeming quality of the relationship? What? Because you stayed for 5 motherfucking years, so don't give me that bullshit. It's
not like it was just terrible. No.
Yeah, you know. So clearly, you know, y'all did
there
have y'all moments.
Yeah, there was definitely stuff. There were elements of it where it was like, yeah, parts of her are definitely the type of person that I want to be with. She was at least somewhat nerdy. Obviously, not as nerdy as me, but it was like somewhat. So we could watch, the shows and stuff like that. For the most part, she was nice. I mean, she was nice to pretty much anyone that she first met, but. It was that sort of thing where she was nice, but it wasn't all the time. But she was nice, and I think that was another part of it, where it's like, if she were mean all the time, obviously you would pay a lot more attention to that. So
it was it popped up every now and then.
It was the stuff. It's the surface versus core.
I got you.
And I think that's one of the funny things. We were kind of opposites, because with me being fairly antisocial, it comes off as me being.
To be honest, man, I ain't want to say nothing, but that's the first thing. We met a few years back, man, and I remember that's the first thing I've noticed. I'm just like, I like y'all. You and Shane and a couple just look like a really good couple. I'm like, I like these. They've been together for a while, look compatible. I'm just like, they just too fucking different. At the beginning, I did not see Shayna as like a nerd type, but when it come to girls, you never really. The nerds don't necessarily have a look. You know what I'm saying? They could be fine nerds, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Clearly, her, like I said, it was the first time we partied. I'm like, they don't, you know what I'm saying? Because you would, like you said, you was playing the fucking game, and Shayna was doing her thing. She was socialized. She was having fun at the party. So I'm just like, that's good.
Yeah, it's like I'll stay with the people that play the games, and she'll be with the people that were drinking, and that's pretty much how it was.
Yeah, I figured it was more of an opposites attract sort of thing. Like maybe you just really loved that she was nothing like you, or not much like you.
No, it wasn't really the opposite thing. It was just the parts about her that I did like. Because she, like I said, there were parts. Okay, I'll tell you this. The stuff about her always needing to be right, I noticed that before we were even together. Because that was like the first thing where I was like, that's really unattractive to me. And I ignored it. But I definitely noticed that before we were even together. I was like, that's fairly unattractive. It was like because it was something super small. And I don't even remember if she was talking to me or not, but I noticed it and I was like, that's really unattractive to me. Like, she felt the need to be right over something this insignificant. And it always bugged me too, because most of the time she kept doing that to me, she was always wrong. She was always trying to correct me about some Spanish stuff, and I was like, that's not even right. Like, she correct me and she's wrong. I didn't let that get to me in the beginning, but that's one of those things that kept happening. I just didn't even think about it. It was in the very beginning, so it didn't even really register. It was just like a thing, like she always likes to correct people, but it didn't.
You know what's funny?
Sink in like it was supposed to.
I could get on my psychology shit right now, because it's like a myriad of fucking things. I could say that's why that is. You know what I'm saying? Especially since you brought up something about what was her dad's side of the family.
Oh, there's stuff there.
I could go in.
There is a whole. It's all there. It's anything that you could probably think. It was there.
Because I done already diagnosed her basically. And I know what pill she should be on, but I ain't her doctor.
But that was definitely something. But that was something that was always there. It was always, like there were definitely times where I totally screwed up without a doubt. And it was like, okay, yeah, I screwed that up. You know, I messed up.
Okay.
But there's definitely
You want to tell
times.
us something? I feel like you need to, you kind of need to throw something because
I don't have to. I mean, if you listen to the first 3 episodes, I didn't even say any of this stuff. I was, I think, super nice. And that was right after the breakup. I think I was super nice considering what happened. Oh, and I haven't even. We still got time, so we'll get to the end anyway. Trust me. But yeah, like I said, like me being fairly antisocial, there's definitely elements to that where I don't talk to people as much, and that was a huge. I think it was more of an issue for her because of how
she was, as far as what she wanted.
Because I think for most people really it would just be like, because a big thing that would always happen was that it was like I needed to change as a person, and I felt that was something that was there from the very beginning. Like she never really accepted me outside of the fact that she could tell I was very serious. Like I loved her as much as I did. It was obvious that I wasn't just like effing around just to try to be with her. Like it was clear that I wanted to really be with her.
Okay. Do you think that was more like the thing that she really liked? Cause
I think that was pretty much it. I think it was that.
Like, and she mentioned crazy about me. Like what the fuck?
And she mentioned like me being calm. She liked that half the time. Sometimes she said it was a good thing because it made her more calm. But any other time, I didn't have the reaction she wanted me to have, and it was a huge issue.
So it was like zero reaction. Hey, this.
Or it was some issue so here's an example. Remember we were talking about Trump and the nukes and I was like, oh, you probably shouldn't go with the crazy person on? Yeah. That was because of something that we went through because her ex was apparently crazy. And so he had her number and she was freaking out about him possibly finding her. Like it was a legitimate thing she was worried about. Damn. And so he had texted her and so she went through this whole process of like, making sure her info wasn't like totally out there, like where she worked and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, so we know for sure that he couldn't possibly find it because the account is secure. Normal Facebook and anything else is it's all locked down, like you can't do it. So my thing was that I was trying to calm her down, like there's nothing to freak out about because he can't actually do anything. And basically after the fact, after everything was said and done, that's just not that's not the response that she wanted. She wanted me to be more freaked out and she wanted me to respond to his messages, which, like I said, when we were talking about the Trump Korea thing, in my mind, I would think not to goad on this person that she's told me for years. Like we talked, this was in the beginning of our relationship, she mentioned that he had like issues. So I was, in my mind, like, I don't want to goad this random person on to actually do something crazy.
Oh, she wanted you to be in her DMs like, look, bitch, don't be fucking texting my girlfriend, bitch ass.
Because her buddy, he did respond, something like that, like leave her alone, stuff like that. Okay. And basically, she brought that up later, and it was like, that's just all you wanted then. Like, it doesn't matter what I did in that situation at all. Where I'm like, I looked at it like, okay, he can't find you like this, he can't do this, he can't do that. So you don't need to freak out because he can't get in touch with you. Right. We don't need to worry about goading him on because he does know some stuff about you. So we don't need, there's no reason to risk anything that he could potentially do if anything's like that. Well, so that's where
Wait, hold on. We about to go in another direction on this one. Alright, I'm not saying that this dude might not have been crazy, but how did y'all know that he was crazy? What was crazy? That's what she said, right? She said, I just have a crazy ex-boyfriend, he's crazy, he's about to go kill me.
Issues, where like he would freak out, like he pushed her one time and she had to like kind of fight back a little bit. Because he like pushed her and that was...
I mean, you don't necessarily have to be crazy. You could just be from the smack. Well, I mean,
yeah, but she knew. Like,
I know a few people from the smack the whole tribe. They intact. It's all there. But she gotta smack a bitch sometimes.
But she knew. And plus the stuff he would say in the text, he would say that weird stuff you see in movies. Like she would respond to something. He was like, "Oh, what are we gonna do now?" Weird stuff like that. So yeah, crazy.
Well, all right. I'll bring that up to say this. I don't know if he was crazy, but all right, this is my point. Let me not lose my point because I'm having too much fun.
I know you are.
But all right, here's the thing. I'm not saying that y'all should go and be with somebody that clearly you're not compatible with, but this is the time in the show where we have to break down the real, and this is something I really wanted to talk to you about too, but I probably wanted to make it a more vulgar subject.
No.
I mean, when I came in here and we was talking about topics, I was just going, because when I came thinking that, I go straight just dirty. Let's talk about good pussy. Let's just talk about what's good pussy. Yeah. But what I'm saying now is, it's like, don't be with somebody that you're not compatible with, but sometimes you need to understand. This is one of the topics. I was about to say the difference between men and women, and like what we think of women as men, and maybe what we think women think of us as men, because we're men. Yeah. But I feel like this: when you with a woman, you should probably throw logic out the motherfucking window. It's not gonna help you. it's not. Like, you just gonna be logical about shit? Like, you can actually win some shit or, you know what I'm saying, be right about some... No. You're gonna throw that out the window. And I think sometimes you have to understand some aspects of getting into somebody else's crazy. I've been in situations like that where, I've kind of had to figure out myself because I wasn't privy to the handbook. But I'm gonna write the handbook for you guys that need to know it. But that, okay, this may be a situation where... Because I feel like in that situation, you did do all the logical things. Well, okay, he can't get to you here. He can't get to you there. There's no way he can get to you. But all she really wanted was for you to just be like, look, bitch ass dude, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Fuck off my girl line before I beat your motherfucking ass. She didn't want you to get Rambo on him. And it's through text anyway, so it's not like you was going to really fulfill it. Like, bitch, I'll pull up. Where your address? I'll beat your ass right now. You just had to text. You just had to type hard. Like, look, motherfucker, fuck you. Get off my girl. You had to back none of it up. You know what I'm saying? You had to not be about that life. You could have met him like, listen, sir, I know I said a lot of things. I know I said a lot of things that were disrespectful, but listen, I don't mean to disrespect you like that. I just felt like...
I withdraw my insults. I
take back every single thing that I ever said about you. In fact, I didn't even know you, so I'm really speaking out of turn.
Gentleman's handshake?
Like, can we just duel? Can I just slap you and challenge you to a duel? Can we have to go fisticuffs? But I feel like in those situations, this is my point, guy. I know we make a lot of jokes out of this, but girls are legit fucking crazy. So you kind of have to find that crazy and acquiesce. I feel like you did the wrong thing by doing the right thing. You said, okay,
I definitely did.
If this guy is a for real psycho, let me make sure that all bases are covered and my girlfriend is safe. That's probably not even psycho. He just probably some dude that just, you know what I'm saying, looked at his phone one day like, I won't shame it back, fuck it. And she told you he was crazy and, you know, whatever. And she slapped him the one time, but she can probably get out of pocket, so I don't know. I'm not gonna, he might, that just might have been his reflex. You know what I'm saying? Your reflex is just to not say that. His reflex might have been, like I said, he might have been from the Smackahoe tribe. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? We all are from different tribes.
Places.
You know what I'm saying? So, but in that particular situation, I can kind of see where she wanted.
That's what it was. So, and that was a big thing. That was another big component of our relationship is that I was, you know, always the calm person and she was the mad person and she wanted me to be mad. And because I wouldn't get mad, and there are some situations I definitely should have. But I always
should have gotten mad.
Yeah, that's
a hard thing to say. I maybe should have gotten mad.
It's just me. Whereas like I look at the situation, and I guess it's how I always process everything. If something's an issue, I basically treat it like it's not even worth the next breath I'm even taking. Like that's how I treat stuff that bothers me. Where I'm just like, that's not even worth my effort. Like how people have road rage. Yeah. I'm not gonna freak out, you know, like people taking their bats out and stuff because somebody brake checked them or whatever. It's like for me, it's like, all right, that bugged me, but
out of sight,
is that really? Yeah, like that's how I like to treat stuff because it's like, is that really worth all the anger that you would feel? Like her going on all the rant she would go on because she was always mad when she was driving. Like, and this made me super pissed off. One time she honked my horn when I was driving. That really bugged me because I'm like, she was always in a rush. Like the light would turn green, it would be like 2 seconds, and she's honking the horn. That just always bugged me.
That's funny, bro.
That was just a part of her being impatient, and that was, you know, like that's where that opposite came from, and like a part, like I said, a part of that she liked because she felt it made her more calm. But then the other parts is when she was legitimately mad about something, and then I was still my calm self looking at it from my other perspective. It was like, well, I don't want that perspective, so then I'm the bad guy. Right. Like I just sucked in the relationship because I looked at it in my own way, I feel like that was a big chunk of the whole relationship, where it was whenever it came down to any situation that we had, it didn't matter what my outlook on it was.
You was just wrong, she was right, and you need to apologize, basically.
And that's not even and that's the thing, when I look at the relationship as a whole again, that's not, because, you know, it could easily be like, oh, she was this and that, but that was with other people. She treated her friends and family like that too. Way? Yeah. Damn. So it was like, I definitely knew that it was there. It wasn't like it was just with me. And there were situations where people, like she knew she was being mean to me because other people said it to her later. So it wasn't like,
oh, you being mean to him? Like, why are you doing that? Or
not in the situation. It was like it was a situation that came up where there was this guy who he was our friend, and he was like trying to hit on her, and obviously she didn't like that. And so his thing was like, oh, I didn't think it mattered as much because of how you talked to Terrence.
Damn.
And so she went to her best friend.
That's an eye opener right there.
Yeah. So she went to her friend and was telling him like what he said and all that, and he was like, oh, well, yeah, I can see how you're mean to Terrence, but that shouldn't be an excuse. Like he agreed, she was mean to me. And then she went to her sister, and her sister said the same thing.
So it's like she was kind of It was like a revelation a little bit, like, damn.
And that was towards the end of the relationship, so it didn't.
That was
make
early
much
on?
of it. No, that was in the.
Oh, I thought
that was like last
towards
year.
the end.
So
Okay.
that was like newest stuff. And she brought that up, like how she changed. I'm like, not really. Like the only reason she changed is because instead of drinking, she started smoking. And I'll tell you, that was one of
that was bad?
No, that was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah,
because she wasn't
just the alcohol.
same person.
And because she just got mellow,
she wasn't the same person, and it was like it was there. Like I saw like the difference, and I was just like, this is so much better to me because I did not like her when she was drunk. And that was just like,
I don't even want to get into that because I don't.
No, you can go
like,
ahead.
No, I ain't gonna get into that. I want to, what I'm saying. I think I already might have said her name, so I ain't talking about her out there too much like that. I was like, how much do you think she, drink? Because you said she might have had a problem. So if she,
she would drink every time we had parties. She was always drunk. She would drink.
It
was like it was like a vice. It was a vice because when she stopped drinking and she started smoking, she smoked as much as she drank. So it was always vice.
Oh yeah, of course.
It was a vice.
No, I mean, I could get with that. I can get with that, though.
And I can tell you, it was enough of an issue that my mom asked me.
About what?
Her drinking. Because after we broke up, because she asked me, like, does she have a problem? Because she had noticed some stuff before, and, like, when we were in Mexico, because I don't even remember the first time. Apparently, my mom saw her drunk a time before Mexico, and that bothered her because she saw what she was like. And I don't even remember what time that was. I didn't even remember, because she brought it up with the Mexico thing. And because she mentioned it, I was gonna ask you about it. Then, obviously we had broken up, but she was like, I was gonna say that to you, but I guess since you're broken up, it doesn't matter. And I was like, what other time did she ever see her drunk? Like, I didn't even know what she was talking about, but clearly she saw it. What she was kind of like sometimes, because she would be like talking to people and like touching people's faces and stuff like that when she would drink a lot.
She was touchy-feely?
Like, yeah, she'd be like, oh, you're so pretty. She would be like touching people's faces, like just invading people's privacy. Like, that's just how she was. And that's just who she was. She was like that person where it was more about attention than anything else. Because like, in the end, how long you want this episode to be? You want to do 2 parts? I mean, we can do... because this 8:20 is up to you.
Let's do a small one after. Yeah.
Okay. So, she noticed that type of stuff, and I didn't know that she even knew that. But she'd asked me, because it was New Year's, and I left like a little bit of stuff at her house. And when she had called her, because I asked my mom to go, because I didn't want to see her. Like, I just didn't want to deal with it. So, my mom had talked to her, and she said, like, oh, she was drinking or whatever. And so that's when my mom asked.
She was drinking that day?
It was New Year's. So she got drunk on New Year's. So, like, that was, like, normal thing. But she had asked me, because she was like, oh, she said she drank too much. So she asked me, like, did she have a problem? And it was just like, oh, she drank, she drank, but...
Did she only drink with parties, or did she just, like, have a few brews,
typically...
or some wine or something?
Typically it was with parties, but... she would drink wine sometime, at random. But typically it was with the parties. But it was always a thing. Like, it had to be alcohol. It just did.
Damn. That's crazy, man. But let's wrap this show up, because in my next show, we're going to get to some fucking psychology. That's what we're getting into.
Well, we still got a huge thing to go through, but we'll save that for the next part.
Oh, yeah.
Part 5, I guess. If you count the other 3 episodes. But yeah, we can wrap it up here. And we'll go into some other stuff. Got some other elements.
We're going to lead into it. So, y'all stay tuned, man. You know who it is. It's your boy, the Anarkist, Dr. Anarkist. You feel me? I'm taking over for Dr. Phil and Oprah. Fuck them motherfuckers. You feel me? I really can make motherfuckers cry. So, if you want to see a motherfucker cry, tune into this podcast, A Few Nobodies. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at The Anarkist. Excuse me. At Anarkist Beats with a Z. Invisiblekatana, take it away.
I am at Invisiblekatana across the web, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We are at A Few Nobodies Podcast at gmail.com, and we are at A Few Nobodies on both Twitter and Instagram. So follow us there, send us DMs there, let us know what we should be talking about. Check out our AFN cuts, our little snippets and stuff, which go up every once in a while, because I'll be trying to do that junk, and it just be taking a super long time with my work and stuff. But check out the little snippets. I always put them up. I try to put them up as much as I possibly can. But either way, just check out check out my YouTube channel for the small cuts. If this is like your first full episode or whatever, go through my channel and you'll be able to find some of the smaller cuts. Check out our Twitter profile, and you'll be able to just like get the links. That way you don't have to search through all my random Invisiblekatana stuff and just get the podcast stuff. But yeah, definitely shoot us some emails at afewnobodiespodcast@gmail.com and get in touch with us at A Few Nobodies on both Twitter and Instagram.
Peace.